Another episode of Bread Before Bed.
On tonight's episode of Bread Before Bed, we are on the 18th chapter of Genesis, and it's subtitled Sodom and Gomorrah, 3 angels visit Abraham. And it reads, "And the Lord appeared unto them in the plains of Mamre, and he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day. And he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door and bowed himself towards the ground and said, My Lord, if now I have found favor in thy sight, pass not away, I pray thee, from thy servant. Let a little water, I pray you, be fetched, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree, and I will fetch a morsel of bread, and comfort ye your hearts. After that ye shall pass on, for therefore are ye come to your servant." So I want to point out how off rip Abraham was able to identify that there was something different about these people, and he was able to identify that they were sent from God. And one thing that I want to point out is that he was hospitable. That means he showed them hospitality. We can learn from this particular instance that every time we have the opportunity to serve someone in our lives, we ought to be trying to do so. And they said, So do as thou hast said. And Abraham hastened into the tent unto Sarah and said, Make ready quickly 3 measures of fine meal, knead it, and make cakes upon the herd. And Abram ran to the herd and fetched a calf tender and good, and gave it unto a young man, and he hasted to dress it. And he took butter and milk and the calf which he had dressed, and set it before them, and he stood by them under the tree, and they did eat. So what did Abraham do for these 3 men?
Sit them by the tree and give them food.
Good job. And verse 9 reads, And they said unto him, Where is Sarah thy wife? And he said, Behold, in the tent. And he said, I will certainly return unto thee according to the time of life, and lo, Sarah thy wife shall have a son. And Sarah heard it from the tent door, which was behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old and well stricken in age, and it ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of women. So I want to point out how this particular part of the text, it lets us know that Sarah was beyond childbearing age. When the text says that she was beyond the manner of women, that means that she no longer had her period or her menstrual cycle. So she wasn't fertile and wasn't able to bear anymore. So we're going to see God perform a miracle in this particular situation concerning Abraham and Sarah. Verse 12 reads, Therefore Sarah laughed within herself, saying, After I have waxed old, I have pleasure, my Lord being old also. And the Lord said unto Abraham, Wherefore did Sarah laugh, saying, Shall I of surety bear a child, which I am old? Is anything too hard for the Lord? At the time appointed I will return unto thee according to the time of life, and Sarah shall have a son. So what did Sarah do when she heard this information?
She laughed. Ha, 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 ha.
Good job. One other thing that I wanted to point out is God had to point out to Abraham, is anything too hard for the Lord? Basically, God was letting Abraham know that it's nothing that God can't do in our lives. There's no miracle that he can't perform concerning us. So we always got to have faith. And when he tell us he going to do something, better believe that it's going to get done. Verse 15 reads, Then Sarah denied, saying, I laugh not, for she was afraid. And he said, Nay, but thou didst laugh. This is something that we have to be careful about, because it is easy to tell a lie when you are afraid or scared. But we have to learn from Sarah to not do that and to just be honest. There's something I want to point out concerning this particular portion of text as well. When Abraham got the news in the past, he laughed as well, but he thought that it was funny that God was going to give him a son in his old age. The difference between Abraham's laugh and Sarah's laugh is when Sarah was laughing, she was laughing in disbelief. Verse 16 reads, "And the men rose up from thence and looked towards Sodom, and Abraham went with them to bring them on the way. And the Lord said, Shall I hide from Abraham that thing which I do, seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him? For I know him that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of the Lord to do justice and judgment, that the Lord may bring upon Abraham that which he hath spoken of him." So what I want to point out in this portion of the text is God and the angel, they're having a conversation just like Abraham isn't even there. Basically, God is talking to the angel saying, should I really tell Abraham what I'm about to do? And Abraham is right there the whole time hearing it. So, of course, Abraham is going to be like, what you about to do? He's going to be concerned. But what I want to point out primarily, though, is how God gave Abraham a stamp. God says, I already know that Abraham gonna train his children up to obey my word. I already know that Abraham is gonna do what God told him to do. And I want that same report to be over y'all lives when God look at y'all. I want God to look at y'all and be like, I know that Jade is going to obey me and do what's right. I know that Gerald is going to obey me and do what's right no matter what situations or circumstances they're in. So y'all got to make sure that y'all live lives that please God. And the Lord says, because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grievous, I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the cry of it, which is come unto me, and if not, I will know. And the men turned their faces from this and went toward Sodom. But Abraham stood yet before the Lord, and Abraham drew nigh and said, Wilt thou also destroy the righteous with the wicked? Peradventure there be 50 righteous within the city. Wilt thou also destroy and spare not the place for the 50 righteous that are therein? That be far from thee to do this after this manner, to slay righteous with wicked, and that the righteous should be as the wicked, that be far from thee. Shall not the judge of all earth do right? And the Lord said, If I find 50 in Sodom righteous, then I will not destroy the place for their sakes. And Abraham answered and said, Behold, I have taken upon thee to speak unto the Lord, which I am nothing but dust and ashes. Peradventure there shall lack 5 of the 50 righteous. Wilt thou destroy all the land for the lack of 5? And he said, If there be found 40 and 5, I will not destroy it. And he spake and said yet again, Peradventure there be found 40. Will thou spare it? And he said, I will do so for the sake of 40. And he said unto him, O let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak. Peradventure there shall be found 30 there. And he said, I will not do it if there be found 30. And he said, Behold, I have taken upon me to speak unto the Lord. Peradventure there shall be 25 found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for the sake of 25. And he said, Oh, let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak but this once. Peradventure there shall be 10 found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for 10's sake. And the Lord went his way as soon as he had left communing with Abraham, and Abraham returned unto his place. So basically, Abraham found out that God was going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, and Abraham knew that Lot was there, and he knew that Lot had 10 family members. That's why he petitioned God all the way down to 10.